Jigging out. Cracking tune it is indeed. Good evening, everyone. Hello. Welcome on in. Nice to see everyone. Hope you're all doing well on this fabulous hump day, as Hidden would say, on this Wednesday, the 11th of March. Yes, we're on March. Yes. Good evening, Hidden. How are you, buddy? You all right?
I'm still alive, so
You're still
I'm
alive,
all right. How are we doing? Yeah, should we do roll call? Then we can just dive in, because boy, what a story, man.
Yeah, fantastic one today. Yeah, and this is actually, let's do a road call, and we'll do a shout out to a specific person who would show up. So
John Stokes. How you doing, brother?
Thank you, John.
We've got Gobstopper in. How you doing, brother?
How's it going, man?
And a quick hello, Drumstick. I'm sorry, mate. I have to apologize. I haven't got back to your email. I do know it's there, so sorry. Give me a couple of days, and I will get back to you. But yeah, all right, Drumstick.
Nice to see
you. We got this thing, man. Corbell's cat.
How's it going, brother? Nice to see you.
I'm gonna get me a new second computer. I'm telling you. We got the legend that is She-Pop. How you do? She-Pop. Am I right?
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, how's it going?
We got this guy called Alien Addict. I don't know who the hell that guy is.
Not me.
I thought it was Oliver. He's gonna get mad at me for calling him Oliver. So we'll say Ollie. How you doing, Ollie?
Ollie the Wally.
Oh dear God, we're gonna start a riff with Alien Addicts now. Hello, Black Dot. How you doing?
How's it going, mate? Nice to see you.
Rebecca, hope you're not working too hard. Much love.
Nice to see you, Rebecca.
Oh, here comes the one that we can't pronounce.
Azuri boy.
Thank you.
There we go. Yeah, I see. I'm learning. I got
Azuri
right.
boy.
There
Azuri
we go.
Boy. I saw too many Z's there, and I was like, no way.
it kind of distracts me a little bit, yeah. But no, nice to see you, man. Welcome on in.
I think we're hold on, I don't see any. Oh, I see John. How you doing, John?
Hey, John. How's it going? Nice to see you. Say hello to Tinkerbell for me.
And we got the legend that is Bob Lazar. People don't believe it. Well, see, God damn it.
Get your fingers
Bob,
right.
have you got it? Have you took control of my computer, man?
He's the real person. This is the real Bob Lazar. Absolutely.
I'm gonna press this one, because we gotta leave the Jewish people alone, man. We gotta leave them alone. Why, oh why, fools?
Nice to see you, man. Welcome on in.
All right, I think we're. Oh, we got one. Hello. I haven't noticed you before, but Blizzy 91.
Bluzzy, I believe.
Bluzzy.
Okay, nice to see you, man. Welcome on in. Nice to see you. Happy Wednesday.
There we are. That's us for roll call. Anybody else that we missed? Thanks for turning up, man. Thanks for turning up.
Azuri boy, your name's Nick. Hey, there we go. Look at that. It's the same as me. Nice one. Both brothers from another mother. We've got Slim Yin as well. And hey, there we go. Nice to see you. I'm here as a skeptic. Okay, no, that's fine. You know, we're
no worries.
It's no worries, man. You know, it's very divisive, isn't it? We know true believers and skeptics, they don't really get along, don't they? You know, it kind of ends up in an argument. But here on Hidden Underbelly, we welcome all opinions.
That's right.
It's good to have. Do you know what, Hidden? The word debate reminds me of just like an argument. I like to use the word conversation.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, let's have a debate. It's like, oh man, it sounds ugly. Let's have a conversation about it. But yeah, but welcome on in. Nice to see you. Roll call done. Oh, nice one, man. Nice one.
I won't be joining you.
Yeah. But yeah.
But still, I am waiting. So I'm waiting on my supply from the Royal Mail. So when that turns up, I'll be joining you.
Nice. Nice. Awesome. So today's video is a very interesting one. Well, the topic of today is the Scole Experiment. This is a shout out to, I mean, if you're watching this, Sadie, this is because of you, because she actually mentioned it in one of my live chats. And I was like, do you know what? That kind of reminds me of like a very fascinating experiment. And the idea of, now we're going into the paranormal side here. There are this whole experiment that obviously we're going to be going through today. It's immensely fascinating purely because we have video footage, photographs that are just incredible. So this is a shout out for Sadie if you're watching this. The Scole Experiment. Scole Experiment, is that right?
Scole. Right? That's how I've been saying it. That's how I've been saying it
too. Yeah. So for the people that don't know what the Scole Experiment is, okay, so this was basically a paranormal group, okay, that would create these seances conducted from 1993 to 1998 in the village of Scole, Norfolk, England, primarily in the cellar of a 19th century farmhouse called Scole Hole. Ooh, that's something Bolly Blue would say. A small group of people, mainly Robin and Sandra Fay, researchers and organizers of the Scole Experiment, along with mediums Diane and Alan Bennett, you can see them in the thumbnail, held hundreds of reading this here, sessions aiming to establish scientific evidence of life after death and communication with the deceased spirits or entities. Now, these claims received to be guidance from the spirit team or communicators who promise to produce physical phenomena under controlled conditions. So today we're going to go through the video. It's a bit like a documentary. It's about an hour and a half. And yes, we are going to bring up the Wi-Fi. Oh my God. It reminded me, what was it called? The Wi-Fi fools? I know that's the one in chat. Wi-Files. Thank you very much. So yeah, this, guys, if you're not into the paranormal and you're a bit skeptical, I think Slim Yin, you're obviously a bit of a skeptic in regards to this. Yes, I know I'm Bonnie Blue mad. I know, I understand that. I think it's just worth going through the documentary, see what evidence gets produced, and make your own decision into it. Because just like UFO footage, especially with AI now, is pretty. I mean, you know what it's like, hidden. It's pretty crap now, isn't it? You know, you get a few gems now and then. But in regards of the paranormal and the photographic evidence, as well as video footage, I'm very skeptical what gets produced, because again, if you're new to sky watching and even ghost hunting, you are going to make mistakes. You know, orbs could be dust, light reflections off lampshades or lamp posts, etc. You know, it is a learning curve basically. But the video footage and photographic evidence today is immensely fascinating. I think it's worth doing a show on it. So yeah, this is it. This is the Scole Experiment. It's trying to contact the afterlife, which I've always believed in. And I don't know if you agree with me.
Wasn't it more not trying to contact it, but more proof of the afterlife?
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Hey, Sadie, you're here. Happy Wednesday to you. So yeah, this is for you, Sadie. You're the one that gave me the idea to do with Hidden Show, because it's just immensely fascinating. And even Hidden was taken, back from this. Was like, oh, this is really interesting. This is immensely good. I know everyone's mentioning Bonnie Blue. Shh, my missus might hear me, but no, I understand. It's she's on my mind. A bit like Maria Orsic. She's always on my mind, mate. But anyway, what do you want to start with, mate? Do you want to start with don't shake your head at me.
I'm just thinking, how can it be? How can that person be on your mind? I mean, there was a queue for her. Ah!
If I was single, I would be in that queue.
Oh God, you're gross, mate. That's gross.
I'm just joking. Or maybe I'm not. You see. Anyway, nevertheless, enough of Bonnie Blue. Let's get into. Do you want to get the documentary up? Do you want to do that first?
I'm waiting for you to pull it up.
Okay, of course. I'm blabbering on too much about a woman that everyone is disgusted by. I just find her fascinating. Hey, wrong one. There we go. To that and to that. All yours. me old mate.
Well, I'll just answer Slim's comment. I mean, he was really good in his paranormal investigation, and he absolutely found no proof, but he was really good in it.
Oh, really? Did he do paranormal stuff? Did he?
After his mother died, he spent the majority of his life trying to prove paranormal activity. Well,
Oh,
he
really?
was trying to get in contact with his mother, basically, and a few of them failed horribly because Harry Dooney's Jewish, and one of the mediums that he went to said, "Oh, I got your mother here," and started drawing a cross. So straight away he was like, "Nah, nah, nah." It would be the Star of David, wouldn't it? So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying now. But look, with these psychics, we're actually watching The Mentalist on Amazon at the moment, which is a fantastic show. Which is this fake psychic who's just good at connecting the pieces,
reading people.
Reading people, yes, thank you, Hidden. That's it. Yeah, so it's a bit like that, but you do get the people that insert themselves into the the psychic realm. It just comes with the territory, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, like, look at what Derek Orr did when they did it to Derek Orr.
Oh, miss the guy. Mary loves Dick. Mary loves Dick. Could you remember that clip? Very famous clip. Yeah. Yeah, Derek Acor. He's gone now, isn't he? He's now passed on to the afterlife. So yeah.
So now he has all the answers, and all these ghosts with the Liverpudlian accents will come for him. But yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, for entertainment, Derek Acor was really good. But you have to also know that the guy was a bit of a charlatan. And they called him out. They called him out, that guy, the Richard guy, the historian.
Oh, yes. I remember.
He set him up. He set Derek up. He gave somebody some false story because he had a feeling that Derek Acor was getting fed information. So set him up. And he gave him this guy's name, which is an anagram of "I am a fraud." So Derek comes on the show, gives all the information that was given to him, and also gave this name, which the anagram was "I am a fraud." And that's when that Richard guy knew that his hunch was correct, and Mr. Acor was outed. But he still went on to do his own show. It always made me laugh because he could be talking to an African ghost and it would have the Scouse accent, because he would challenge the spirits in him, and they wouldn't change their accent.
Yeah, of course. And if he's challenging a ghost, you would have thought he would be doing the accent and all that. Yeah, for sure. I understand.
So it's for entertainment value. I think Most Haunted. Was it Most Haunted? I think that's what the show was called. It was funny. Can't take it because Yvette Skilling, somebody would fart and she would scream. So it was just a funny piece of show. It was just entertainment, but you're not going to get any real kind of evidence there.
No.
And it's a shame because they did go to some really good locations. I remember when they went to the Rum Inn. But anyways, we diverge. So let's get on with the show, eh?
Yeah. Oh, the Ram Inn. Yeah, that's most haunted building in England, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not too. I heard about
and
that.
I think this is what mires it a bit, is when you do foolishness like that. Because what if you did really catch something? Not many people's going to believe it.
True. Yeah, you make a good point there, mate. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Scousers. Yeah, calm down. Brilliant. Right, should we click play? Okay, so we might hit in if you want to jump in and tell me to pause. That's absolutely fine. But guys, check this out, man. This is the Scole Experiment.
I'm going to take down chat.
We wanted to provide physical evidence for other people to witness that would provide, in a scientific way, actual proof of life after death.
This group of mediums and investigators claim to have recorded their conversations with the
Chat's
dead.
Still there.
We had 1,000 hours of continuous communication with the spirit world.
Emily, when did you live on the Earth?
Oh, a long time ago now.
19th century? Yes.
Is this really the voice of the deceased? The Scole experiment continued for 5 years. It involved a huge range of remarkable phenomena, was witnessed by hundreds of visitors, and was monitored by a team of internationally renowned scientists and investigators.
We were touched by the spirits, saw a whole range of phenomena which could not be mistaken by 3 investigators such as ourselves.
Although the remarkable events at Scole were widely reported in the press and in a popular book, this is the first time the Scole Group have allowed their work to be shown in a full-length documentary. The accepted scientific view is that nothing survives death. But for well over a century, many scientists have been investigating evidence that consciousness not only survives the death of the body, but that it can communicate with the living.
Nick, can you pause it real quick?
Yeah, of course I can, yeah.
All right, just to answer why an alien ghost. Now, this goes into the theory where people are talking like aliens are interdimensional beings, but that will come up later on. So I just wanted to address that one.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. I was going to say they're both connected, the paranormal and interdimensional beings. Yeah, but anyway, we'll continue.
If you take all the phenomena within the whole of the Scole experiment, it ranks among the most profound pieces of evidence for the existence of an afterlife.
In the mid-1990s, in the tiny English village of Scole, one of the most remarkable experiments ever attempted in communication with the dead took place in the cellar of this house. The Scole experimental group consisted of 2 mediums, Diana and Alan Bennett.
Hey, Ben. Nice to see you, mate.
As well as organisers and investigators, Robin and Sandra Foy.
Hi, hello there.
This is in Norfolk, by the way, Falls.
In this quiet, secluded cellar, the Bennetts would go into trance, allowing what they claimed were the voices of the dead to speak through them. But the Scole group went far beyond this and pushed the boundaries of what can be achieved in a special area of claimed spirit communication known as physical mediumship.
There's a wide range of phenomena that physical mediumship over the centuries has been supposedly able to produce. Objects levitating, chairs, tables, objects in the room, apports and teleportation. In other words, things just dropping out of nowhere. Sometimes things disappearing and reappearing. Apparent spirit hands, apparent spirit forms. Things that people can see happening. There's an effect on real objective things based on supposedly the communication or contact between a medium and the spirit world. The spirits are using the medium as a conduit to cause these events to happen.
Physical mediumship is entirely different from mental mediumship because everybody that's present at the time can witness what's happening. Such as if a voice comes from mid-air, everybody can hear and converse with a voice.
Very nice. Nice of you to have us here.
If a spirit person manifests, everybody can see what happens.
That's creepy.
I think it's fair to say that when you have sittings with physical groups as successful as the Scole group, you will see miracles. You see things which cannot be explained under normal laws of science.
Robin and Sandra Foy, who organised the Scole experiment, are 2 of the world's leading experts in the field of physical mediumship. The Scole group was one of many groups the Foys had formed in their decades of experimenting with afterlife communication. Dinah and Alan Bennett have also been participating in physical mediumship for many years, and in 1992 joined the Foys to form the Scole experimental group. According to the Foys, it was the exceptional mediumship abilities of the Bennetts that made the greatest contribution to the Scole experiment's spectacular success. Never in the history of mediumship had such a huge range of phenomena been reliably and repeatedly produced for such an extended period in front of so many witnesses and scientific investigators. The physical phenomena included levitations, orbs of light that could pass through solid matter, the mysterious appearance of images on sealed photographic film and videotape, and the materialization and dematerialization of solid objects and even spirit forms. But perhaps the most remarkable of all were the claimed communications between the experimenters and a group of deceased personalities.
I like Carl Jung.
I think the greatest effort come from the spirit side. I mean, without them, you can sit there and nothing will happen.
But a great deal did happen, and according to the Scole Group, this success was due to the combined efforts of talented mediums and a group of discarnate personalities they claim were orchestrating events from the other side. They called this group the Spirit Team.
A spirit team was a team of spirit personalities who had lived a life on this earth. Several of them had been scientists whilst they were here. They all came together so that we could work together to achieve this aim of producing physical phenomena. We didn't honestly know what to expect. We threw the whole thing open to the spirit team to allow them to develop and produce whatever phenomena they wanted to produce.
The Scole Group and researchers said they were able to conduct extensive conversations with this group of spirits through a process called trance mediumship. In this specialized form of mediumship, the dead can speak to the living, it is claimed, by using the larynx of the entranced medium.
When the voices came through the mediums, which they normally did, the voices were quite different from those of the mediums themselves. And the personalities behind the voices were not only quite different, but were very consistent. Even the accents were.
Thank you for your warm appreciation of what we're trying to do.
It was very easy to recognize the female one because there was only one. And she was very, very idiosyncratic.
This communicator identified herself as the spirit of a Mrs. Emily Bradshaw. The Scole Group recorded hundreds of hours of conversations with Mrs. Bradshaw and other spirit team members.
Emily, when did you live on the earth? Oh, a long time ago now. 19th century? Yes.
That's very
Mrs.
clear.
Bradshaw, who was a very commanding figure, a lady of the upper class Victorian or Edwardian lady.
Yeah.
She sounded like that.
We continue from our side of life to influence people still in the body.
She would tell us what was going to happen. She would comment on what we were doing and sometimes what we were thinking. She would answer our questions quite frequently before we'd actually asked them, which was quite embarrassing sometimes.
It's easier just to think of these influences coming, really, to aid you, because they're the only ones we're interested in, really, aren't they? At the end of the day.
It becomes very natural, purely and simply because it's the same as you talking to me here in this room at this very moment. There's no difference, other than the fact that we are aware that they're no longer in this world.
The Scole Group claim that, in addition to Mrs. Bradshaw, other personalities regularly communicated via the mediums. One of these was Patrick McKenna, who told the group he had died in 1942.
We had Patrick,
Hey, man.
the defrocked Irish priest that came through. He seemed to come through when we need lifting up a little bit, you know.
Things sometimes were a little tense, and it was Patrick's job to be there and to get everyone in a joyful mood.
Good evening to you. Hello, Patrick. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. I never heard such a commotion before. Such a carrying on. No, it's all right. I'm only joking.
He told us that he had his problems in his life, and the church had become quite unhappy with him.
Another personality that the Scole Group say spoke frequently through the mediums called himself Edwin.
The most destructive fear of all is fear of the unknown.
That's why they're so clear.
And finally,
I thought they were
Bharti,
actually
who claimed
recordings.
to have once lived in India.
And
No.
who really contributed to the joyousness of the affair, because it was quite a jolly affair.
Hello, Roger. Good evening. Good afternoon. Talk free. And this will help enormously. As Mr. Robin was saying,
See?
you must,
Shall I pause?
you must,
See that? No, this is what I wanted to say. See, now this medium is channeling this guy, and he's got the accent, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
He's not talking in a Liverpudlian accent. He's got the actual accent of this guy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
So sorry,
Okay.
Mr. Derek Kokora. I have to say, I hope you're up there. Hope you're not down there, mate.
Yeah.
you must, what was he saying?
I've forgotten already.
Yes, well, whatever it was he was saying, you must do it.
And there were one or two others who played more or less important part as different experiments were conducted. And when we had experiments which required expertise in a particular area, photographic area and so on, apparently there were different experts available.
And others, other drop-ins, as we called them, personalities that would just purely drop in and say hello and introduce themselves.
For the Scole Group and their guests, communicating with the spirit team became so common over the course of the 5-year experiment that the participants said they developed extremely close relationships with these personalities.
Emily Bradshaw featured for many hundreds of hours, and like many of the others, she became so dear to us that she was literally extended family, and we viewed them, all of them eventually, as part of our family.
Well, I hope you've all enjoyed your experience. You'll all take something away from the spirit of these experiments and the love that we all feel for you.
Hello,
I haven't, mate, no.
But what is it like for the mediums to have these supposedly discarnate communicators speak through them?
Those sensations, to me, become more and more intense and build up to a point where I feel the personality actually taking part of my senses over. I become more and more unaware of my own body and also more and more unaware of my own thoughts.
And then it's just very gradually done. It's very beautifully done, really, I think. That it's almost just like you're edged out, with your full permission, of course.
It gets weirder, guys. It gets weirder.
The Scole Experiment began in 1993, ran for 5 years and consisted of 500 sessions, each lasting 2 hours. Nearly all of them took place in this tiny brick cellar, affectionately called the Scole Hole. Practitioners of physical mediumship believe that the best results are obtained if sessions are conducted in complete darkness. Because the reputation of physical mediumship has been severely tainted in the past by numerous hoaxers who use darkness to hide fraudulent activities, the Scole Group devised a number of controls to help eliminate this possibility. One of these controls involved all participants wearing luminous wristbands. These bands were attached with Velcro, so they could not be removed without obviously attracting attention. Luminous tabs were placed on all unsecured objects in the room, as well as on the tabletop. This ensured that any movement in the room would be instantly visible to anyone. Additionally, everything that happened in this cellar was recorded on over 1,000 hours of audio tape. According to the Scole Group, their spirit communicators requested that they place this empty glass dome on their table. This, they were told, would apparently help facilitate physical phenomena manifesting in the room. It was around this table that the Scole Group would attempt to open a bridge between the living and the dead. But just how difficult was it to summon the departed?
There is an awful lot of effort involved in working up to a situation where you can experience physical phenomena on a regular basis.
I think possibly we sat about twice a week for a year before we really got anything significant happen, you know, just minor phenomena up to then.
But the group's determination and patience paid off. By 1995, visitors were reporting that the skull hole was alive with extraordinary phenomena. Because most skull experiments took place in complete darkness, skeptics were critical of the fact that investigators were not permitted to use infrared light and cameras to monitor their sessions. However, the Scole group claimed that their spirit communicators insisted upon this, since to them, infrared was as powerful as visible light and would apparently hamper their efforts.
The energies that they were using were extremely subtle energies and would have suffered if any artificial light had been introduced into the room.
The same was true, they said, for electric currents of any kind, though they conceded the need for small recording devices and reluctantly accepted them.
We were told that this phenomena could be developed in the light, but if it were, it would take an awfully long time to produce, years and years, rather than a few months that it actually took us. Well, darkness isn't darkness to the spirit people. It was just like daylight to them in the room whilst we were in darkness, as it were.
The spirit team did, however, promise to bring their own light, and in due course, apparently, did just that. Before long, the Scole group and their visitors were treated to spectacular acrobatic displays of glowing spheres they called spirit lights.
There were various shapes, generally like a pea-sized light, and it had substance. They would come and sit on your hand, you could feel them.
They were intelligently directed and intelligently moving and would be responsive to our wishes, whether expressed or silent.
The gyrations were sometimes so rapid that it almost left like a circle of light going over here and over there. Sometimes two lights would appear and just stare at me within inches of my eyes.
I thought at first that the lights must be small light-emitting diodes suspended on the end of nylon fishing line.
Then suddenly a light would start to do a tap dance on the table, bouncing up and down on the table, and you could hear it click as it rebounded from the table. And suddenly it
went pop, went through the table and came out the other side. Now, no nylon fishing line explanation would account for it going through a table.
And this is a scientist
the lights
saying that.
Also had another rather strange trick up their sleeve, if I may talk about lights as having sleeves, and that was to pass through bodies.
I was actually used as a guinea pig in the early days to see how it felt and to develop the phenomena. And this light would actually enter through my chest, could be seen by everybody as it did so, would stay inside me for up to 3 minutes, and I could feel the light moving around in every part of my body. Felt rather like a butterfly internally. And then 3 minutes later, it would pop out of the arm or something and disappear across the room. This was being developed to produce a healing phenomena.
I have this bad knee, and at one point we had a light that was moving around the room and rested on my knee for a minute and suddenly moved inside my knee.
Yeah, she just went into my bad knee.
I could feel it moving around my knee, and then all of a sudden shot out the back of my leg and took off. The pain was greatly reduced, and the swelling that had been in it that day was gone, and that was a huge, wonderful thing to happen.
We were never sure exactly what the lights were, except, because obviously we asked questions about it, except that they were animated spirits, but they weren't, as it were, fully formed. They weren't discarnate entities as we understand them. They were somewhere in between.
Objects do not just appear out of thin air, but this is exactly what numerous visitors to Scole reported. People would see and especially hear these objects apparently materialize out of nowhere and then fall onto the floor or the table. In the language of physical mediumship, these objects are called apports.
An apport is an object which is quite solid, which is brought from one location to another during an experimental session. But in so doing, and this can be from many miles distant, apparently passes through solid walls, doors, etc. Well, the total number of apports that we had during the experimental sessions was about 80 or even more. When we had 7 sitters in the group, there would be 7 apports appear as presents. We had 3 ladies, 4 gentlemen at that time. The apports would reflect that because there would be 4 things that were suitable for gentlemen, 3 things suitable for ladies.
Hey, Bucky City Doo. How's it going, mate?
This is an apport which arrived during the earliest days of our Scole experiment. In fact, it's a very small object. And whilst we were sitting here, this object would arrive, just materialise, and arrive on the table. But as it arrived, that's the sort of noise it would make.
The Scole group and the investigators observed that most apported objects, no matter how small or light, made just as loud a noise when they arrived. By far the most astonishing of the apports to appear at Scole were these newspapers, which arrived in pristine condition, despite having originated in the 1940s.
Wow.
In one session, a voice claiming to be a deceased British medium, Helen Duncan, described how in 1944 she was arrested and imprisoned under the archaic British Witchcraft Act. Even though British Prime Minister Winston Churchill was critical of the trial, the court imposed a 9-month sentence. After her release, Duncan continued to be hounded by the police until her death in 1956. As she described her ordeal to the group, this newspaper allegedly appeared out of nowhere. To their astonishment, displayed prominently on its front page was the story of Duncan's trial and conviction.
I think she suffered greatly through her mediumship, and she was really coming to wish us well. And she bought the newspaper as a sign of a very turbulent time in her life.
Since an old newspaper could theoretically be copied and printed onto modern paper, Montague Keen had the apported newspaper analysed.
We took it to the leading research station in England, indeed in the world, on paper and printing. And it was absolutely clear from their report that, first of all, it was done on letterpress, which has gone out of existence virtually since the early 1970s, I would say. It was newsprint produced during wartime, which lacked certain chemicals which you couldn't get hold of. So this was a genuine article which appeared 50 years after the event, and no one has been able to explain how it got there.
So where did all these apported objects supposedly come from?
We were told by the spirit team that they were never stolen, but were basically objects that had been lost or discarded, or at one time been owned by the spirit personality that brought them for us.
Well, I think the apports were brought to us as a demonstration, as an example of what is possible.
It would be cool if like a nug of weed came down when they did the seance. Be like, oh, sweet.
If we give spirit the right,
it wouldn't be that strong though. Be from their time.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to admit that I think more people are a bit skeptical of the fact that these objects just are literally come straight down onto the table. Do you know, papers, solid objects? Do you know what I mean? I've had heard of that, but yeah, it's just a bit, you know. But I remained open-minded.
Well, it's good. I'll be sorry. It's actually good that they did take the paper and have it analysed.
Sure.
So it could be what Moody said. They could have found the paper from somewhere, but you know, it's overwhelming could be's. Whereas they're saying, look, this is what happened. This is the paper. The paper is legit. It's not a reprint.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm going to be honest. I mean, these people do sound quite genuine. I don't think they're there to fake anything. I think they're there to really find, you know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, carry on, mate. It's all good.
No, well, I was just going to say, well, they threw it open for scientific scrutiny as well. So that in itself leads a bit of credence.
Sure. I'll just read through the comments here.
The next phase of the Scole experiment involved photography. These sessions began conventionally enough, with the Foys loading a film into a camera and placing it on the table.
I would reject
But after
that, mate.
this, things began to get very strange.
We heard the camera moving round over our heads, clicking and being wound on by spirit.
In total darkness, so that in reality, nothing should have showed up on the film. But when the film was developed, there were amazing pictures.
Wow.
Wartime pictures of St. Paul's, of a bus that was blown apart in the Blitz in Coventry, and pictures of various places, temples, various people, quite amazing stuff. It was never explained to us exactly why we got these particular pictures, other than the fact that we had a separate photographic spirit team working with us at that stage, who were practicing their art and seeing what they could achieve.
Do you know what? These photographs that they just shown, it would be interesting if you could actually put it through a reverse image search to see whether or not we can actually backtrack these photographs from a previous time. Do you know what I mean? From, 1940s or et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's quite phenomenal, isn't it?
Some films contained images of faces, including human faces, apparently in various stages of formation.
There were a series that appeared to represent bubbles and various other things coming together, partial faces, etc. We were told that what we were seeing were areas of communication within the spirit world.
The Scole group believed these faces were images of deceased people, which were somehow projected from the other side. To them, this theory was confirmed with the appearance on another Scole film of this blurry profile. Communicators through the mediums informed them it belonged to a man named Kingsley Fairbridge, who had died in 1924.
We were put in touch in a very obscure way with his daughter, who was happy to agree that that was a picture of her father.
How's it going, mate? Nice to see you.
In the next experiments, the Scole group claimed to have been able to create these photographic images not only in total darkness, but without the use of a camera.
We were asked by the spirit team to put a totally unopened Polaroid 35mm film just in its plastic container on the table during our sessions. At the end of the session, if the spirit team felt that they'd achieved a result, we were asked to develop it.
As the film was Polaroid, it could be developed immediately in a special processing machine.
You can imagine our surprise when we brought this film up, they'd never been opened, put it through the processor and viewed it, and there was images and faces and writing. How do you explain it was there,
I selected the film, checked the box, which was factory sealed, identifiable by the glue marks. This contained another sealed container, and after checking the film, I then resealed the plastic container with an identifiable mark, which was my signature.
During the session, he placed this film on the table next to the glass dome. Substitution of the film would have been difficult to achieve since everyone present wore luminous wristbands.
I'm 100% certain that the film I selected was the same film that was returned to me at the end of the session.
The film was immediately processed in front of him.
The first few frames, there was nothing on it. It was blank, completely blank. But halfway along the film, we could see a Latin statement.
Reflecting clearly into the earth and onto the
Spirit team had said that
planets.
they'd worked on the film and that they produced something for us. And lo and behold, there it was.
Since the events at Scole were so bizarre and unusual, the group knew that without careful, independent scrutiny, their experiments would probably be dismissed as a hoax. Therefore, the Foys and Bennetts allowed their experiments to be rigorously monitored by a team of internationally renowned scientists, as well as veteran paranormal investigators who were members of the Society for Psychical Research, or SPR, based in London. For over a century, the SPR has specialized in examining paranormal phenomena in an unbiased and scientific way. Among its members and past presidents have been some of Britain's most accomplished scientists, including a dozen Nobel laureates.
The Society for Psychical Research has an extraordinarily notorious reputation for being scientifically rigorous, and many people consider that it goes overboard in its skepticism.
In 1995, the SPR investigators began an exhaustive 2-year investigation into Scole. By 1999, they had published their findings in this detailed report. One of its authors and a leading researcher into Scole was the late Montague Keane, an SPR member since the 1940s. Keane was a veteran investigator of paranormal claims.
We consider that extraordinary things do require a much higher level of authenticity than would normally be required for things within the scientific paradigm.
Mundane.
Initially, we were all pretty skeptical because what had been claimed seemed so way out.
Another key researcher was the late Dr. Arthur Ellison, an emeritus professor of electrical engineering and a former president of the SPR.
When a second-rate scientist says that this could not possibly happen, and many do in connection with the paranormal, they are saying, in effect, that our current set of scientific models are the last word. And it would be ridiculous to say that. Scientific theories, descriptions change all the time, and we must expect that to continue.
The third principal investigator was research psychologist Dr. David Fontana. Also a past president of the SPR, Professor Fontana has authored several books about life after death and is also a leading investigator into paranormal claims.
The paranormal is that mysterious area behind the seen and the known world. And since most of the world is unseen and unknown, and most of the world is full of mystery, for me, it's a fascinating and absorbing area.
To preclude the possibility of fraud, investigators made thorough inspections of the cellar and all its contents in full light before and after sessions. At no time did they find any equipment or devices that could have been used for hoaxing. All participants had to empty their pockets and leave all belongings outside. The cellar had only one entrance, and this door was kept locked during all sessions. Despite these strict precautions, remarkable phenomena continued unabated, and the attending investigators were stunned by what they saw.
One could not mistake what we saw. We saw colored lights, we saw materializations, we had direct voices, that is, spirit voices talking from the air. We were touched by the spirits. We saw a whole range of phenomena which could not be mistaken by 3 investigators such as ourselves.
The full range of phenomena produced at Scole was extraordinary. None of the investigators had ever seen anything like it before. The Scole Group also invited guests and independent investigators to scrutinize their sessions. These included scientists from numerous disciplines and even a professional magician who was well trained in spotting evidence of deception. One of the scientists was the internationally renowned biologist and author, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake.
Science has done very little to investigate the afterlife or reincarnation. Most materialists assume that both of them are impossible. So there's a kind of dogmatic denial by some scientists of the possibility of these things. But I wouldn't say that was a scientific understanding. I would say that was a dogmatic, ideologically motivated dismissal. The only way to have a scientific understanding is to do the research and to find out what's actually happening and to look at the evidence.
1995, the SPR began their 2-year investigation into the Scole Experiment.
Their initial claims were that they were in contact with a group of deceased entities who were producing, with their help, a number of pictures of either deceased persons or strips of films, which they claimed to be produced without any cameras and in the dark. Our main object was to produce these films under conditions which eliminated any possibility of hoaxing. So we would buy the film ourselves. We would load it into a box. The box was held in the hands of the investigators so that no one could get at it. And then immediately afterwards, we would take it out of the box ourselves so that no one else touched it, and then develop it ourselves in a special machine.
Despite all these precautions, the experiments continued to produce a variety of remarkable images.
They were able to achieve whole lengths of film, sometimes up to as much as 4 feet, with various words, symbols, messages, all sorts of different things on that film.
The content of the films varied greatly, as did the languages they contained. For example, when a German-speaking investigator was present, a poem in German appeared on a sealed film, not in modern German, but in a dialect spoken well over a century ago.
So if I'm correct, Hayden, this was actually placed in a sealed container.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, especially
contained fragments of Greek.
Well, like what he just said, it wasn't like the language that was coming on. It wasn't modern German as well. It's an older form of the German dialect. So that, I mean, I can see what's SEF network. I know
Science
you understand.
Yeah,
science evidence. I can see what you're saying about keeping benefactors sweet, but the evidence will speak for itself, I believe, and I think that's pretty good evidence there.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with the sealed film. But I just want to say for you skeptics, just to stick around, because we're going to have a look at the other side of the coin on this.
Yeah, we will do. We will do.
Greek, French, Chinese, Hebrew, Latin, and even Sanskrit.
Wow.
The investigators believe this
Not
to
a
be
lot of people know
since
Sanskrit.
the members of the Scole group had no real knowledge of these languages.
It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Many of the messages received at Scole appeared to be deliberately crafted to appeal to the interests of the investigators. But some of the messages were arcane, cryptic, and difficult to understand.
I don't agree with you.
If personalities were producing these images, why would they use complex puzzles to communicate?
If it's hard to explain, how can you say it's simple trickery?
Which is a puzzle, which is
If
difficult
it's simple
to solve.
trickery, then you can explain it. Am I correct?
Yeah.
If you're going to explain something as simple trickery, then you can explain the simple trickery because it's simple and it's a trick. If you can't explain it, you can't suggest. I don't know.
I know what you're saying, mate. I know what you're saying.
It is difficult to solve. It isn't readily available. It can't be easily attributable to the person sitting around the table.
Despite lengthy investigations, the possible authors of what had been written on some of the films, like this German poem, proved impossible to trace. But others were easier to track down. This one contains a poem by Frederick Myers. Intriguingly, Myers was one of the founders of the SPR and a lifelong researcher into the evidence for survival. Before he died in 1901, he promised his colleagues at the SPR that he would try to communicate with them from the other side. Could this film be an example of such an attempt? In some cases, clues hinting at the possible identity of the authors appeared in the form of signatures. Hidden in a corner of this film strip, which references Myers' poem, are also the signatures of a Victorian medium, Cora Tappan, and a Will Rawlings, whose identity remains a mystery. However, the identity of the person behind this signature seems clear enough. It appears to belong to the famous Welsh singer, composer and actor Ivor Novello, who died in 1951.
Bloody hell, I heard of him.
Compare this signature, received on one of the Scole films, with Novello's actual signature.
Wow, that's pretty close. Considering he's writing with a ghost
This
hand.
film strip, which bears a handwritten poem in English, also bears the cryptic signature WW. Could these initials and this poem have been written by the spirit of the famous 19th century Romantic poet William Wordsworth? After intensive research, Montague Keen determined not only that the handwriting closely matched that of Wordsworth, but also that the poem itself was a variation on an obscure Wordsworth poem titled Ruth.
I think that those pictures can be explained only by imagining that the spirits can project their recollections and images onto a film in some way we can't begin to understand. The only alternative explanation is they are all fakes, and I don't believe that there's evidence that that is the case.
Although the mechanism for their creation remains unknown, investigators concluded that they were undoubtedly unique.
I like that one.
As far as the photographic evidence is concerned at Scole, the strips of film, there has, in my view, never been anything like that at all, ever.
Leave Billy alone.
Encouraged by the success of their photographic experiments, the Scole group began a series of video experiments called Project Alice, after Lewis Carroll's book, Alice Through the Looking Glass. Their stated aim was nothing less than to try and capture moving images sent from the spirit world. The Scole group claim that detailed instructions on how to position the camera and mirrors came from their spirit communicators. They were told to set up a video camera in the darkened cellar and aim it into a pair of mirrors so that it could see only its own viewfinder. While it was recording, nothing unusual was seen. But when the tape was played back, these remarkable images had mysteriously appeared.
We had images on the video, sometimes of what looked like a tunnel of light. Other times, spirit faces were coming towards us.
That's creepy.
Sometimes what appeared to be a doorway moving.
Skeptics have suggested that these visual forms might have been created by video feedback. This occurs when a camera sees its own output. However, the Project Alice images were of a completely different nature and would have required sophisticated intervention and special optics to create them, none of which was used by the Scole group. Needless to say, it is impossible that video feedback was responsible for these images.
Indeed.
As to what some of these extraordinary pictures represent, we can only guess, since their meaning was never explained to the Scole group.
Right, I'm just going to pause this now. When I used to have my mushroom trips and hardcore ones, when I would shut my eyes, this is exactly what I would see. Just going to put that out there, okay? It's weird, I can't explain it.
This is another equally enigmatic video. It appears to be part of a strange face with moving eyes.
Not that, that's creepy.
Among the investigators who monitored these video sessions was a Swiss lawyer and businessman, Dr. Hans Scher.
He imposed his own security protocols on the experiments we were doing with the video camera.
We spoke to Dr. Scher at his home in Switzerland.
There's absolutely no possibility that this film could have been prepared before, because I selected one of the video films which was in its original packaging, which I took the film out, I signed the film, and I put it personally in the video camera.
He inserted it into the camera. We never touched at any stage the camera or the film.
When we played the film, it showed at the beginning a number of bubbles of various colors.
But there was one particular bubble on there in which the face of a person appeared, and it was a man with spectacles.
That's a good
Although
one.
Dr. Scher did
That's
not
crystal
recognize
clear.
his face.
Yeah, that's pretty clear, didn't it? It kind of looks like that British serial killer.
The Scole group believed it might have belonged to someone who was trying
very
to communicate
vague.
with him from the afterlife.
What's his name? Harold Shipman. There he is. There he's there. Harold Shipman.
At a later time,
That looks like my milkman.
in full light, once again, nothing unusual was seen during the recording. However, on playback, this appeared.
This is creepy.
Does look like Skinny Bob.
It does, doesn't it?
During the Scole experiment, the claimed spirit communications occurred mostly through the mediums. But the Scole group say they were also able to open up other communication channels as well. Some of these were quite surprising.
One way that we also communicated with spirit, and which was a very effective way, was by use of an ordinary, very cheap tape recorder whose amplifiers were used by the spirit team to carry on a two-way conversation with us.
Prior to using this cassette recorder in the sessions, the Foys removed its built-in microphone. This eliminated the possibility of recording human voices that might have been mistaken for spirit communication. Nevertheless, when the machine was activated, voices could be heard emanating from its loudspeaker and two-way conversations conducted. These were picked up by a separate recorder that operated continuously during all Scole sessions.
Yes. Yes, Scole Experimental Group. Experimenting with audio equipment.
Yes.
Historic moment it is.
According to the Scole group, the spirit team often proposed new experiments, as well as refinements to previous ones. For example, they provided information to Professor Ellison on how to build a device for improving communications via the tape recorder. The device included a small crystal of germanium, a semiconductor often employed in radio receivers. When Professor Ellison asked for more information, his questions were answered promptly by the spirit team via the mediums.
The communications, we hope, will be received in some way on your side, things, through this germanium. The germanium will be used as a focus.
The spirit team explained that they were not working with electricity as we know it, but with an analog of electricity that is common in their realm.
Don't fall into the misunderstanding of dealing with electromagnetic waves, because we are not.
When completed, the germanium device was plugged into the microphone input of the tape recorder.
For a long time, we got nothing. There was no results. So it doesn't happen immediately. And then we seem to get something like white noise. And then gradually, these noises sort of calmed down, and we heard the odd word. And we encouraged this. It was a breakthrough in communication. I think the spirit team definitely saw it this way. It was part of a plan. They thought eventually this will cut out the human medium so that you wouldn't get people saying, well, this can come from the mind of the medium.
When Professor Ellison asked the spirit team how this germanium device could be improved, the answer arrived in the most remarkable way. These images appeared after an unexposed film which had been locked in the security box was later processed by the SPR scientists.
The film that we saw had a little diagram showing how the germanium gadget, as we called it, should be modified in such a way by the introduction of 2 coils and where the coils were to go, with a little description in writing as to why it was going to enhance reception.
But who was providing this specialized technical information? The initials at the end of the film may well have solved this mystery.
Marconi himself.
There were 3 initials, TAE. Didn't mean too much to us at that particular time.
But then it occurred to us that this must be an initial. We were told to look at it for that purpose.
Thomas Edison.
And then I wrote to the Edison Memorial people in America, and they sent me a copy of one of his letters, which contained his initials, which looked almost identical to the signature on this film.
Man, that's crazy. Thomas Edison.
Oh, yeah.
I think I was joking, didn't you?
Moody.
As well as spirit voices apparently speaking through the mediums and emerging from the cassette recorder, an even more astonishing channel of claimed spirit communication was established at Scole.
Surprised you didn't electrocute them.
We did have some direct voice, that's to say, voices which appeared to be coming from right in front of us and which were not using the larynxes of the 2 mediums.
It would come from all parts of the room. Over there, maybe some over there, even under the table.
Oh, hello there. That sounds like John.
Are you under the table?
Are you 3 cats in the window?
Come on.
You all right over there, John? No.
Oh, Godstopper, thank you so much for the £10 donations, man. That's much appreciated. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's not letting me put it up. There you go. Thank you
there
so
you
much,
go.
man.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. It's much appreciated. Thank you. So any kind donations is much appreciated. It helps keep the lights on and everything. But yeah, once again, Godstopper. Well, this is the YouTube here because they take percentage. But no, thank you so much, Godstopper. Many thanks.
Most of the communicators using this method wanted to speak to the group. Some were less than enthusiastic.
Can you tell us your name? They were male, female, sometimes people we knew, family, sometimes just spirit communicators. As it progressed, the voices got better.
At first, these voices came haltingly, as if the communicators were struggling to overcome the barriers that divide the living from the dead.
I want to tell you. Yes. Oh.
I would say with EVPs, this is from experience, it is kind of, I wouldn't say it's like pareidolia, but kind of like, it sounds like it's saying a certain word where it's very muffled, but this is quite clear to a certain degree.
To hurt the mountain. With the mountain to climb. Yes, you understand.
It became quite clear that there was a learning curve on the part of the spirit team, as there was on our part, because it was an interchange, groping forward to see what they could do.
There was a particular communicator called Reg Lawrence.
I
who
knew
was
it
an
was
engineer
somebody
in his
because you got a
lifetime,
wrench.
and who became
Yeah, nice to see you, 3 cats in the window. Welcome on in. Nice to see you.
very expert
I
at
know
producing
you are.
voices from midair.
Yeah.
Lawrence claimed to have lived in the early part of the 20th century.
Sorry for pausing. I'm going back to what Sadie is saying here. I find old technology, old cameras, old voice recorders work better for the paranormal. That's just my personal experience. Digital cameras like our phones now, it just doesn't work. I find old cameras. So if we're going to do ghost hunting, go back to film camera and tape, basically. You can still find tapes available in shops and all that. It's still about.
In this session, visiting engineer Walter Schnittger asks him how he is able to speak without a physical body and therefore a larynx to form words.
Do you see any possibility to describe how we can get the air to vibrate that we can hear it with our ears?
We think
and concentrate our thought. We do not speak. We think in a language we are familiar with.
Yeah.
In this case, it is our language that we used when we lived upon the earth. And by some miracle, I have to say, these energies are transported into the room, not by me, but by those whose job it is to do that.
So that was coming from the voice recorder when they actually took the microphone out. So it's just basically you can hear the voices, the entity is transmitting through this voice recorder. Is that right?
No, that's actually coming from their ear. They moved on from that to use the generic crystal, if I'm saying it right.
Right.
And then what that did then is it's picking up. They're being able to like speak through the ear now. So it is recorded, but it's not coming through a voice recorder. It's actually in the air.
Right.
That's why that scientist was saying, how can you do this without a physical voice, like a physical body? And that's what he's saying. We're manipulating the waves in the air, and it's through thought, and it's very hard to do. This is what one theory was about new spirits, why a lot of people don't see new spirits. I have my own theory. I think they have one shot. You got one shot of energy to do it. So that's why many loved ones, they sit there and say, some people may think it's wishful thinking. Others, shortly after my mother passed on, I had the honor of seeing her. So I kind of feel, and I do feel, yes, I do feel that I can't sit there and say I know it was her. But I do feel that it was her, and I've had other experiences here in this house with my mom that I also showed my missus. It was a smell that was just coming from one spot, and I told my missus, I said, "Come and stand here," and it was by the fireplace. It wasn't like in the bedroom, and I said, "Can you smell that?" And my missus said yes, and I said, "That is my mother's perfume. I recognize that anywhere."
It's like that with cigarettes, isn't it? It's like, it smells like cigarettes when someone who's previously passed used to smoke a lot. So yeah, man, that's interesting, isn't it? Very common reoccurrence.
The range of physical phenomena witnessed in this small cellar was already astonishing. But perhaps the most spectacular was yet to come.
Another thing that happened was that a hand materialized and sort of glowed in the room, and there was this disembodied hand floating around. And I commented to the medium, I said, "Oh, I can see a disembodied hand." And she said, "It's not disembodied." This was Mrs. Bradshaw, who was speaking through one of the mediums. And I said, "You mean there's an invisible body attached?" And she said, "Precisely." And then she said, "Would you like it to touch you?" And I said, "Yes." So she said, "Well, ask it." So I said, "Hand, will you touch me?" And so the hand went round behind me and it tapped me on the shoulder. And then I saw it moving down and again floating over the table.
A hand grasped me and, as it were, stroked my left hand. The hand was sufficiently visible in the light for me to see the fingernails.
Is it a hand? Oh, yes. Yes, a hand. It stretches out the fingers. Oh, I see. Yes.
Sometimes we would be touched by these hands. Sometimes we would invite them to touch us. Sometimes they would touch us on our knees, let's say, or on our feet, which, as it was a fraud-proof table, were inaccessible to the mediums themselves.
So what is it like to touch one of these disembodied hands?
It felt cool, but not cold. It didn't feel clammy. It didn't feel slimy. It felt like a normal human hand, and it grasped my hand firmly.
I felt an arm right in front of me moving around the room. And I was so startled, I moved my hand and it traveled right up a sleeve. There was a sleeve, like a cotton sleeve, very much like this, right up to the shoulder. And then it just stopped. There was nothing beyond where the shoulder would have been. It was a really amazing experience.
The Scole group were told by the spirit team that they usually materialized a hand or an arm simply because it was far easier than materializing a full body. But in some cases, even that was reportedly achieved.
I had the presence, the physical presence, of my mother, my father, and my sister, all in solid form, standing in front of me, all of whom I was able to hold, to embrace, carry out conversations with them. I witnessed it so many times, it just becomes a normal thing.
In some sessions, patches of light would float over the heads of the visiting scientists and then slowly begin to change into spectral forms.
The diffuse patches of light would take the form just of a human face, moving round the room with the direct voice very, very faintly coming from the diffuse patch of light, and the lips moving again very faintly.
As I stared at the face, it was noticeably smaller than a normal size head, but within the face itself, features were clearly visible.
But then even more remarkable forms began to appear.
They looked like angelic forms.
Best I could describe them is looking rather like a Madonna with a veil, and with robes which hung sort of quite well down, and they would trail their robes over the hands of the sitters. The feeling of love when this occurred was quite indescribable.
Wow.
This is probably the angelic being.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'll show it again.
Just unbelievable energy that they brought.
Imagine being in that room when that's going on.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I would agree with you with that one, Drumstick. Yeah, very shroomy animation. This is it. That's one thing I'm experienced with. It's, yeah, interesting though, very interesting.
It's the only animation they could do to describe it. So,
yeah, it's very wavy form, basically. That's what would describe it. That's obviously taking a lot of mushrooms and all that, but this is just come from experience.
I wish this was going on now, because I would love to be in that ring. I really would.
Man, get into it. Get into the paranormal, man. It's good.
It is amazing.
And I was very fortunate that one came and landed on my hand. And just the energy that you felt from it when it connected with you was a lovely experience. And it just felt like an overwhelming feeling of love.
The touch of those hands brought an extraordinary sense of peace, of tranquility, which we were told was...
Yeah. See, the thing is, they inspect the rooms before the sessions and after the sessions.
Yeah.
That they said this already. So looking for a projector, the rooms have been inspected. So I honestly can't say anything because I wasn't there. We can only go by what these people are saying and what the scientists are saying. And, you know, if there's a hidden agenda, there's a hidden agenda. But we can only go by what is presented to us. But hey,
yeah.
I can see the projector trick, because wasn't that one of the things that they used to use, the fake people?
Yeah, very true. Yeah, yeah.
Nice to see you, Warpath, all the time.
Nice to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Welcome on in.
Warpath all the time. Nice to see you, brother.
Yeah, awesome, man. Nice to see you, man. Welcome on in.
No, I don't like these terms because they sound a bit flaky, a bit off the wall. But it's very difficult to explain it other than the touch of a loving hand.
And I found it, far from being spooky, a rather wonderful experience. And I'm a very
it was in the 90s,
and rather unemotional sort of bloke, but this I found quite impressive.
These are great experiences, you see. Again, I must stress, it changes your paradigm. You go in thinking none of this can be true, but after experience after experience after experience, it gradually dawns on you, hey, there's something going on here that we can't explain by normal scientific laws, but which nevertheless exists.
It's good, isn't it, mate? It's creepy.
We should not go for complete skepticism, but a degree of possibilities.
Skeptics are often unaware of the amount of experience and the amount of knowledge that goes into investigations of this kind. Between the three investigators, you could say we'd had 50 years and more of experiences of this kind. We know all the tricks.
I don't see how it could be faked. It's impossible.
In my opinion, the Scole experience was totally 100% genuine.
Despite the investigators' conclusions that the Scole phenomena were genuine, skeptics claim they were produced by the kinds of conjuring tricks used by stage magicians and entertainers. But since professional magicians have spent a lifetime learning all the tricks of illusion, they are also best qualified to detect this type of fraud. With that in mind, James Webster was invited to observe a number of Scole's sessions. Webster is a member of the renowned Magic Circle in Britain and has been a professional magician for over 40 years. He is also an experienced investigator of paranormal claims.
Well, I had an opportunity to view the cellar. I could see no magic props or anything which made me feel inclined to think there was any hoaxing or trickery. I could not do it myself as a professional magician. And I don't believe in any magician that I knew could do even the lighting, let alone the other phenomena that I witnessed.
No one in the intervening 5 years or so has ever produced a whittle of evidence that they were fraudulent or given any indication, any evidence which suggests that they were not entirely on the level.
Any one of those in the cellar, I'd say they were wasting their time doing this here for nothing, and they could be earning $1 million out there on the stage.
In the spring of 1997, the Scole Group were invited to hold sessions in 4 European countries and the United States.
Hey man, how
Some
you
of the
doing?
most spectacular sessions occurred in the Los Angeles home of Brian Hurst, a medium who had previously sat
Nice to
at the
see you,
Scole
man.
Group
Welcome on in.
England.
We wanted to see whether it could also take place so many thousands of miles away from Scole, here in Southern California.
Hurst's converted garage was the venue for 8 sessions, with as many as 30 people attending each one. Before each session, Montague Keane and other investigators carefully inspected the room for any signs of trickery.
Many people went in at different times before the sessions, and there was no paraphernalia, there was nothing hidden there at all.
Despite being interviewed a decade after the Scole experiment, these witnesses are still profoundly impressed by what they saw.
There was so much phenomena going on. It was really overwhelming.
As usual, sessions began with visitors sitting quietly in total darkness. Then, to their amazement, they started hearing the voices of the spirit team speaking through the mediums.
You know, in a little while, some of you will be feeling something, seeing something, or hearing something.
We just had
Oh, thank you, Parasite. Much appreciated, mate. Thank you.
lights galore. There were hundreds of them.
Isn't that cool? Look at that. That is awesome. Wow.
It's like a firefly.
Shooting star.
Like fireworks.
And then it would go up to the rafters of the garage and come down and thunk hard like a big rock hitting the table and then disappear.
Just gone through the table and come out underneath.
At one point, a set of wind chimes hanging in the room was set ringing by invisible hands.
You could see the chimes because they were painted with the luminous paint.
Yeah, I can see it swinging.
Then the demonstration was modified.
You could see them moving without making a sound, and of course that's impossible.
The chimes are moving, but they're not making any sound.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
We had a table in the center of the room that had crystals on it.
Don't steer too hard because it might levitate.
It's moving.
The table is indeed levitating. The table levitated, was turned on its side, and began to spin very rapidly. The crystals never fell off. Even if there hadn't been crystals on the table, it would have been impossible to have turned the table sideways and rotated it with the speed at which it rotated. And we could see this because there were luminescent strips on the table. And it began to spin around actually so rapidly it almost looked like a pinwheel.
As well as the usual members of the spirit team, other voices the group thought belonged to deceased relatives also attempted to communicate.
We're several Someone for Shirley.
Yes. Dad?
Speak to him.
Hi, Dad. How are you? I love you. Wonderful. I love you very much.
I really do feel that my dad came and he was the one who put his hands on my shoulders. The way we were situated in the room, my chair was right up against a wall, and there was no way another person could be behind me.
I'm just going to say this, MILFs.
Another materialized hand appeared,
What
but who
nice to
did
see you,
it
mate.
belong
Welcome
to?
on in.
Is it Red?
Hello, Red. Hello, Brian. Very nice of you to have us here. You're welcome.
He just touched my hand.
Oh,
Oh, yes. Oh, he's stroking it. It's slightly cold, but it's flesh. He's holding my hand. May I hold yours? He's shaking my hand. Thank you. Oh, my God. Rex, you've made my year.
You make mine.
Ooh, someone's touching my leg.
That's Reg. Reg, have you been touching the ladies?
No, you
That's one pervy ghost, mate. It's like Bonnie Blue.
As usual, Lawrence did not communicate through the mediums. Instead, the group could hear his voice projected from different parts of the room.
Some of the voices were moving around the room, even high up in the rafter area, that somebody would have had to climb up on a ladder to get up there, and there's no way that was happening.
We were listening to taped music, and Spirit kept turning it off.
Just gone into the tape recorder, taken it out. Threw it onto my lap.
And then people all around the room began to receive cassettes in their hands, like somebody was passing them around the room.
They just gave Jill a tape too.
I got a tape.
As well as entertaining the visitors, the spirit team also worked on healing them.
Has it gone inside you, that light?
It's in my chest right now. So it's right there around my heart, and I have a little bit of a heart problem.
It will fly out in a minute.
All of the visitors attending the LA sessions were deeply moved by what they experienced.
When you walk out of that room, you definitely feel like you've been exposed to something very extraordinary.
It was an amazing experience.
We actually saw the spirits, and that's got to be positive evidence for survival.
We do live on after death. They certainly proved that to us that night.
In November 1999, the three principal investigators published their conclusions in the SBR's official proceedings. This extensive volume is now known as the Scole Report.
If you take all the phenomena within the whole of the Scole experiment over 2 years while we were there, I would say that the possibility of fraud and faking was nil.
Although the Scole Report includes theoretical discussions about how individual phenomena might have been faked, its overall assessment is that the events at Scole cannot be explained either by known scientific concepts or by trickery. Its three principal authors conclude that the events at Scole represent convincing evidence for life after death.
The things that happened at Scole, the movements of things in the room, the writing on the film and so forth, all seem hard to explain in normal terms, to put it mildly. But whether they prove the survival of bodily death is another question altogether.
So, did a team of spirits, as the Scole Group claim, orchestrate these events from the other side? Or could they all be the result of human paranormal abilities like telepathy or psychokinesis, the claimed ability of the mind to directly affect matter?
There's an enormous amount of evidence for the existence of psychokinesis. In the laboratory, we're talking mainly about the evidence of human consciousness on random numbers.
I've seen videos on this hidden, people using tinfoil to move things. I think it's to do with static, to do with the hands and all that. Again, I remain open-minded.
Number generators and very small events that can be totally controlled. There is clear evidence that people can affect things.
One of the most famous practitioners of psychokinesis, or PK, was a Russian housewife, Nina Kalagina. Kalagina was able to demonstrate her abilities under strictly controlled conditions in front of a team of scientists. Researchers who investigated her were convinced she was able to do this solely by the power of her mind.
So why would she use her hands to do it? Do you know what I mean?
So, could the Scole Group and their visitors unwittingly have created some or all of the phenomena using PK?
Yeah, you're right, Rebecca. Yeah.
As an explanation, although it's not more than just simply a label to it, this is psychokinesis in physical mediumship. Whether it is a spirit working through someone, a spirit acting directly on an object, or the medium's mind causing the things to move.
Say there were real mind over matter effects going on as opposed to conjuring tricks. Then how do we know they were coming from the minds of the disembodied people rather than from the minds of the mediums who were sitting in the room?
Although there is no definitive answer to this question, the theory that some skull phenomena were due solely to PK from the living seems improbable, since PK produced under laboratory conditions tends to be weak, usually involving the movement of small objects. Therefore, PK from the living is unlikely to explain the huge range and sophistication of phenomena witnessed at Scole.
We simply have a number of clues of information which was extremely unlikely to have derived from the subconscious mind the conscious mind of the...
Yeah, what's up?
Just a little thing. Did anybody catch the date on that newspaper?
No. Oh, hold on.
Did you see the date on it?
Wait a minute. Hold on, mate.
We simply have...
Wait a minute. No, go back. No. Oh, hold
you have
on.
to go to the headline. Yeah, started. You saw the date on it. Yeah, I saw that myself.
1944. 1944.
The day?
Yeah.
The day? Did you see the day?
I got it, mate. April the 1st, 1944.
Look, as much as I believe this, I got to point that one little bit out.
Very good eye, mate. Very good eye. Yeah.
Well, me and Slim seen it as well.
He did see it, Slim, yeah.
When I said, did anybody see the date? Slim was the first one up there to say April the 1st.
Fair enough, Slim.
We simply have a number of clues of information which was extremely unlikely to have derived from the subconscious mind or the conscious mind of the medium. And the more impressive those are, the less likely it is that you can say that this is an aspect of mediumship. And the more likely it is, it's an aspect of discarnate communication. I think the skeptics regard the possibility of the survival of human consciousness as inherently so impossible that anyone must be rather crazy to believe it. But when you look at the evidence, you have to ask yourself whether you'd be even more crazy not to believe it, or to find some alternative explanation which makes any sort of sense. And I haven't found one.
See, that's what I'm saying. Find something that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we weren't in that room.
There's a dominant materialism in science that grew up in the 19th century. It's become part of the culture of science, but it's really a dogmatic belief system rather than a testable theory.
Materialism is the theory that physical matter is the only reality and that everything, including consciousness, can be explained in these terms.
Within science, based on a materialist point of view, the mind is the brain. So anything that suggests the mind might be more than the brain goes against the theory, and therefore most scientists don't want to know about it.
Another prominent scientist not convinced that consciousness is solely the result of brain activity is Dr. Peter Fenwick, a neuropsychiatrist and fellow of the Royal College of Psychiatrists in London.
Do we understand consciousness as far as science is concerned? We certainly don't.
We understand a lot about the way the brain functions, and we understand the reflections of consciousness as is shown by changes in the brain. But how you get from the objective data of the neuronal firing to the subjective data of experience, we have no idea. It is the hardest problem for neuroscience.
We live in a time when a materialistic worldview is the dominant scientific worldview. And there's something to be said for it. We've learned an awful lot about the material world. But that's just a small part of the spectrum.
Dr. Charles Tart is an emeritus professor of psychology at the University of California and one of the world's leading experts in survival research.
The idea that survival of bodily death is impossible and that we're nothing but our brains and bodies is really a function of an outmoded view in science, a Newtonian worldview. Now, the Newtonian worldview works very well for everyday events. But one of the most interesting things about modern science, especially when you look at stuff like quantum theory, is that the world is far more mysterious than we think. And we now have experimental evidence of what Einstein called spooky action at a distance, that we can instantaneously affect something in a distant part of the universe. That's really wild. If consciousness has any of the qualities of this quantum level of existence, then phenomena like telepathy or survival of bodily death are probably not so mysterious after all.
I understand that. Yeah, I always like Carl Jung.
I'm quite convinced from all my experience, including the experience of the Scole experiment, that a consciousness survives, an intelligence survives in some form or other, and that what survives is mind and not anything else, but that mind can create its own environment.
Conditions in the afterlife, as we understand them, are that the lower levels of the afterlife are very much like this world, but that they are, in a sense, a world of thought.
What you have to remember, basically, is that it isn't a physical world. Everything is done by a thought process.
So in the next world, the mind of the observer, the consciousness of the observer, helps to create the experience.
One of the odd things about survival experiments and survival information is the almost universal agreement that there is an immediate review of your whole life when you die, and that there's no crime and punishment of the hell and damnation sort, but it's a process of self-revelation, self-education.
We judge ourselves. That seems to be the common thing that is said to us, that we cannot hide from who we really are and what we've done. And we look at the whole picture as if a film is playing in front of us, and we make a decision, and there is no escape from that. Our true self knows exactly who we are, what we've done, the good and the bad.
Indeed.
But what did the members of the spirit team say? Were those who were supposedly deceased able to shed some light on how the afterlife might be experienced?
We have to be careful how we see this. There are many spiritual
planes. Many spiritual dimensions, maybe.
There are many spiritual dimensions. There are many wonders in the spirit realms that are far beyond even my understanding.
The people on the other side say, look, we live in a totally different world in which we have none of the normal senses. We are just mind. And also time doesn't mean anything. But you down here, you earthlings, can't understand this because you don't have the vocabulary, you don't have the conception to understand it because your world is limited by your 3 dimensions. Now, I think that is probably true. It's very irritating, but it's probably true that we can't understand this.
And what about reincarnation? What did the spirit communicators say about this perennial issue?
Reincarnation was a question that cropped up on a number of occasions, and it was always explained to us by the spirit team as being one of the options. We can choose to do so, but we don't have to do it.
But of course, we're always told that there are various different levels of the next world, and that eventually one moves into an area which is a formless area, that you go beyond form and exist as pure consciousness.
One of the most striking experiments at Scole was a demonstration the group claimed was conducted by the spirit team as a visual metaphor for the reality of life after death.
This particular experiment was perhaps the most important experiment of the whole series.
This crucial experiment was witnessed by the 3 SPR scientists and recorded on audio tape. During this session, the scientists claimed they received instructions from spirit personalities speaking through the mediums. The investigators were told to place a glass bowl in the middle of the table. As balls of light darted around the room, one of them flew inside a large quartz crystal.
The crystal then levitated in front of our eyes. We could see it glowing, and then descended into a Pyrex bowl. Then Arthur Ellison, sitting on my right, was invited to pick it up. He picked it up and satisfied himself that it was there and it was glowing, and he put it down again. He was asked right away to pick it up again. He tried to, and his fingers closed right over it. In other words, it had dematerialized.
Nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Yes, it looks the same, but there's nothing there.
Then he was asked to pick it up again, and it rematerialized in his hand.
Can you put your hand into the bowl, please? Oh, I can feel the crystal now.
This dumbfounded him. This is what finally convinced him that this was real, because it couldn't have been faked in any way. And he had his head right over the top of the bowl in order to ensure that no hand or no instrument could interfere with it. Then the experiment was repeated because I wanted to do the same thing. I could hardly believe it. And exactly the same thing happened with me. And then on my left was David Fontana, and Professor Fontana insisted on having his go too, and repeated a second time.
Of course, we were totally amazed by this. Things do not materialize and dematerialize.
Wow.
This is against all the laws of nature. We're trained scientists, of course. We know how the world behaves, and it doesn't behave like that.
When you really think what we're experiencing now, it's amazing. Miracle, yes.
But what had this remarkable demonstration to do with the question of life after death?
The spirit team told us that the experiment with the crystal in the bowl gave a good example of what happened when we die, in that the essence of the crystal remained even when the physical part of the crystal had been removed. Our bodies represent the physical part, but the essence of ourselves remains the same. This, if you like, can be termed the soul.
Although some researchers continue to question whether events at Scole represent convincing evidence for life after death, for the 3 principal investigators, the vast majority of visitors, and the Scole experimental group, there is little doubt.
We do live on after death. They certainly proved that to us that night.
I think we were pushing the barriers further than ever been pushed before. And I think we just got to the stage where at that time we couldn't go any further.
In 1998, after 5 years and 500 sessions, the Scole experiment finally came to an end. But the debate about its authenticity and significance continues to rage.
The experiences that I've had have convinced me that it is very difficult to explain any of these things by an alternative explanation to that of survival. But it's a wonderful debate. And of course, there are both sides to the argument. And scientists love to debate and they love to argue.
But having spent a lifetime investigating the evidence for life after death, the Foys and Bennetts see no need for more debate.
I mean, I think the spirit world is our true home. I think this is really where we come for our experiences, our life experiences. And I think when we shake off our physical body, then that's our true home, because we are spirit.
I hope the significance of those
the meat suit.
experiments will literally be to make people think, to stop and think, and look at their own lives, to look at where they're going. And if that's all it does, then that's wonderful.
Although the Foys and Bennetts continue to explore physical mediumship separately, to date, the extraordinary results they achieved at Scole have yet to be repeated. Nevertheless, the legacy of their remarkable accomplishment endures, and for many, it remains the best body of evidence ever assembled for the possibility of life after death.
I can't emphasize enough how this is one of the most important questions that a human being can ask. It would make a major difference in how you lived your life if on the one hand you knew the evidence said no survival, and on the other hand it said probably survival. We should be devoting enormous social resources to this question, not leaving it up to a matter of belief.
There we go. I think that is by far the best documentary on the paranormal. I mean, it's interesting to go through chat, especially through believers and skeptics. It's obviously, I'm going to come out of this now, Hidden. Obviously, we wasn't there because this was back in 1995. But still, when it comes to the evidence presented, yeah, we can look at both sides. You know, it's a bit too far-fetched. It's too good to be true. But these people do sound genuine. Now, that potentially they could have faked it for sure. But I think the whole purpose of this experiment was to find the evidence of the afterlife. So I am not throwing out everything they put on the table on this. I mean, Hidden, what's your opinion, mate? It'll be good to hear your opinion after watching a documentary.
I think it's damn good. I think they collected some evidence.
Yeah,
especially with the pictures, because remember these were sealed. Even they showed you one with the writing that was in a locked box. That was sealed in a locked box. They've got verified people. They took the experiment over stateside with independent witnesses there. And they all had experiences. It wasn't like what people thought, 4 guys in a room with a couple of scientists. They were inviting people in. The public could come in, and they were having experiences.
Yeah. I think what would help the case more as they were doing these seances is to actually have at least some sort of light. I think we needed some video footage, some actual video footage.
They have video. They do have video footage.
Yeah, but of them sitting around the table so you can actually see.
And the table raised up.
Yeah, I understand that, but again, it's just
I gotta play.
thing.
You got to play devil's advocate here. You can't say, well, they got to have video evidence, and they do have video evidence. Then you're saying, sure. Well, we needed this. They explained that we can't have a light in a room because the spirits don't react to the lights. That's what they explained.
Yeah.
I just think with the amount of evidence that they do have, it kind of backs themselves up.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for instance, to prove it to, for instance, Slim Yin here, they would say, look, we need a bit more, as a skeptic's point of view, a bit more evidence to back up them around the table, seeing everything levitate, because yes, there are wild claims. And one, especially a skeptic, would say, well, these are a bit too far-fetched because there's a trickery of light, magic tricks, etc. There's different excuses for it. But this, I would say, is the best footage from the afterlife. My personal opinion on that one. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely worth showing you guys, because we deal with UFOs and UFO sightings, etc. But I firmly believe,
not just me, I don't deal with UFOs. I deal with paranormal too.
Exactly, this is it. I think the paranormal and the UFO, or even the interdimensional aliens, so to speak, are both connected together. I think everything's connected. that's just my personal opinion. We'd like to go into it a bit more deeper, but this is a massive thanks to Sadie for giving us the Scole Experiment, because it is one of the most fascinating paranormal documentaries to show. And yeah, it's always there for debate, and we're all going to have a discussion over it. But yeah, some very incredible stuff has been produced.
I'd just like to answer this question, like about heaven and hell. Isn't that a construct that we made? We made that up to keep us in line, so to speak. To say, well, if we're good, we go to heaven, and if we're bad, we go to hell. So I never buy that construct. You know what I mean? I know I joke. I know I said something about somebody being up there or maybe down there, but you know, I do believe that we are energy. See, I take the science on this, and we're energy, we're matter, and matter cannot be destroyed. We can only be displaced. So
good point. I like that. I would agree. Sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry, mate. I would say with Sadie, yeah, she says, I don't think this is absolute proof, but it's hasn't been debunked, and I would agree with that, Sadie, absolutely. And going by what Drumstick is saying, that gathering, I mean, you probably had the same trips, mushroom trips that I had. Same sort of experience. Now, I'm not condoning mushroom trips. You have to be in the right frame of mind for it. I have done many in the past through very high doses. When you go through these sort of trips and you close your eyes in a dark room, it's reproducing this sort of effect, wavy effect. And the strangest thing hidden that people say when they close their eyes after, well, going through a mushroom trip, you see the matrix code, the actual codes. Like the Matrix, it's strange, but
that's done with the lasers.
this is through like personal experience that I've been through. So, but I would agree what you're saying there, brother. We're just sort of transported to another realm. I mean, it's a bit like cats and dogs, and animals can see, because we were practically blind, aren't we? Really, we can't really see. We only see like 0.03%, but the animals can sense. Their senses are much more heightened than we are. So, honestly, immensely fascinating.
But diving on now, because I wanted to, we like to present both sides of the story. So, I've got AJ now. Now, we're not going to show the whole thing because we covered pretty much everything, and it was a positive side. Now, AJ, he does his work and so AJ's going to give you the other side of the coin on what he kind of found out and what he thinks. So,
yeah.
So we'll pop that up.
Monkey Silly Do. These are shrooms, but high, powerful shrooms. Basically, we're talking about. I'll do about 7-8 grams. It's quite high. It's quite high. I don't do it anymore though. That was back in the past.
We ready to hear about AJ?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let me turn this up a
So
bit.
what really happened in that English cellar? Was it real communication with the dead, proof of other dimensions, or just a 5-year magic show? Well, let's look at what we know. The Scole Group held about 500 seances, 1993 to 1998. That's documented. Real scientists investigated. The Society for Psychical Research. They wrote a 300-page report describing things the scientists couldn't explain. But there are serious problems, big ones. First, the darkness. Always in total darkness. It blocks the main tool for observation, sight. Yes, they had glowing wristbands, but you could see where their hands were, but not what their hands were doing. The sealed film sounds like strong evidence, but even here there are issues. The investigators brought their own film, true, but the Scole Group controlled the room. The darkness gave them plenty of chances to switch film to fake images. No independent lab ever checked to see if the film was switched. That UV writing? Nobody checked. The group refused video recording. Big red flag. They said electronics messed with spirit energy, which is convenient. That removed the best way to document things. When infrared cameras were finally allowed, the strange events mostly stopped. Later, investigators learned that Alan and Diana Bennett used to perform stage magic. They didn't mention this during the experiments. When asked, they admitted it, but they said their work with the spirit world was real. Magicians can do a lot in the dark. Magic experts say most Scole events match old magic tricks used by fake mediums for centuries, just done very well, very patiently. Professional magicians showed how it could work. Spirit lights, small LEDs, hidden magnets, easy to move with wristbands on. The objects appearing, sleight of hand, hidden pockets. The photos, pre-exposed film. The voices from small hidden speakers. No advanced technology would be needed to pull off any of this, just darkness, planning, and patience. 4 people working together for 5 years could create an extremely elaborate hoax. But why? Well, there's money in it. They charged fees for lectures. They wrote books. Remember, there's always a book. They charged for seminars and seances. Now, I'm not saying money was their primary motivation, but plenty of money was being made. But the skeptic view has holes too. If this was fraud, it needed amazing coordination for 5 years straight. And strange things happened in other places, not just the Scole cellar. Dozens of witnesses saw things, including trained scientists, events that needed incredible skill to fake every single time. Now, what about the spirit messages? Most of their predictions didn't happen. The big consciousness shift, the planet changing, that hasn't happened yet. At least not like they said it would. So was this a 5-year fraud? Not according to the investigators from the Society for Psychical Research. Until the day he died, Montague Keene believed something real happened in that basement. In fact, he died during a debate where he was defending the paranormal so vigorously he had a heart attack. Professor Ellison was more measured. He admitted he witnessed unexplained events, but he stopped short of saying there were spirits involved. But he also said he found no evidence of fraud. Professor Fontana was also impressed and also hesitant. He couldn't explain what he experienced either, but he didn't think it proved life after death. Maybe the biggest clue is what happened after Scole. If the team of many minds really built a spirit network, we should see more proof. We should see proof everywhere. Instead, the event stopped when the Scole group broke up. When asked what went wrong, the Scole group said, and let me get this right, the interdimensional doorway they had established attracted interference from entities described as experimenters from the future. This interference was said to violate strict laws of space and time, leading the spirit team to advise ceasing the sessions to prevent further disturbances. That's a quote, and that explanation sounds a little too convenient. I think the Scole experiments were 4 friends putting on a spooky magic show, but I approach the story as someone who doesn't believe in ghosts. I admit that I'm biased. Still, I can't prove they were faking. Nobody could, and many tried. There may not be evidence of ghosts, but there is evidence that many people had positive experiences when they attended a Scole seance. We have video statements from witness after witness describing these amazing life-changing events. Some people felt reconnected to lost loved ones. Others swear that the spirits healed their illnesses. Was this all in their minds? I think so. But what does it matter what I think? The Scole group gave comfort to hundreds of people. Is my skepticism more valid than their actual experience? I don't think so. Some of the people were so happy, they left the seance in tears. I don't have the right to rob anyone of that joy.
Indeed.
Nobody does. And don't let anyone rob you of yours. Remain faithful even as people like me remain defiant. If you believe that after we die, we go to heaven, keep believing it. If you believe we reconnect with our loved ones, keep believing it.
Indeed.
If you have some belief about the afterlife that gives you comfort, keep believing it. I'm willing to bet you're wrong, but I say this with all sincerity. I really want to lose that bet.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So in a way, like AJ said, it's all skepticism on the debunks. So really, like he said, he's coming from a skeptic point of view where he doesn't believe in ghosts. So he's just throwing things at it to say, well, this could have done it and this. But like he said, it has not been debunked.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a theory of how they could have done this.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I was saying before, Hidden, you know, it would be good to sort of have like proper video footage of them sitting around the table and seeing you know, what's actually unfolding in front of people's eyes.
I don't think that would satisfy. I think what you would really, after you had that, you would say, look, it could have been done this way. I need to be in the room. And I think that's the only clear way you can say it. Like what I did say, because I believe it. I believe him. Yes, if you're going to spend 4 years out of your life, why don't you make a bit of money out of it? I am not against people making money for their research. It's not. I don't see anything wrong in that. You understand? We don't roast people like Lou Elizondo when he puts out a book. All we just say is, oh, another book's coming. You know, we don't roast them. We don't roast nobody else. So why do we see this as some sort of fraud because they put out a book? Yeah. Of course they want to put out a book. People were interested in it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. With the sort of, well, evidence, you know. No, I know a lot of people roast. Well. Yeah, a lot of people roast Lou. Yeah.
So I should bad analogy.
I was going to say that, yeah, because we all know opinions on that. So yeah, it's actually quite interesting because the paranormal is very divisive. And I know for a fact, for me, I definitely believe in the paranormal. I've had experiences. I've taken photographs of what I believe to be entities, but I'm not going to blindly accept everything I see on a photograph or what we've been seeing here as proof. Basically, I remain open-minded, and it's really interesting to see the people through the comments having a very divisive.
That was P.T. Barnum. It wasn't anonymous. It was P.T. Barnum.
So you know, it's really interesting. I mean, this isn't going to be the last time we're going to be talking about something like this, really. But yeah, it's nevertheless, I think it's definitely worth going through, and it's very interesting to see people's opinions on this subject. Yeah, but everyone has made valid points. Even you, Slim Yin, you know, even you made some valid points. Even Moody as well, and even the believers as well. So yeah, I remain open-minded. Like I said, it's not fully debunked, in my opinion.
And I would like to. I think some of these experiments that they did, you could recreate them yourself. So I think you know.
My experience, I worked in my music college, and that was something else, Rebecca. That was like, you felt that, and everyone knew it was haunted. I'll tell you what, I'll do like a follow-up episode on that, on my experiences. I mean, I've shown the photographs of that entity, that photograph that I showed you in the cemetery hidden. Everyone that I've shown that photograph goes, I don't know what the hell that is. But it's definitely some sort of entity. But I might pop back there, because I was just speaking to my mum in regards of going back to ghost hunting, because I just got the itch to go back into it. But again, we've gone to like cemeteries and different places, and you're not going to capture everything, you know, straight away. You know, if you got keep going. But I remain open-minded, but it's a bit of fun, guys, isn't it? It's always fun to have a bit, you know, sky watching, looking for UFOs, do a bit of ghost hunting as well. So but in due course, Rebecca, I'll make a note of that, and I'll talk about my experiences. But I am not ruling out ghosts. There's something there. There's definitely something there, for sure. Yeah.
So that is. Are we done here?
I think so. Yeah. Well, I tell you what. I tell you what, Hidden. Sorry. If I find a video that more or less debunks this in detail, because that's one thing I should have done, but it was a long documentary. We'll do a follow-up episode. If I find a video that says actually, Hidden, yes, look at this, because we're all familiar now with this documentary, we can harken back to this and say, right, this is the skeptic side. This is what they could have done to create what, you know, the video footage, the photographs, etc. So I think we need to look at both sides of the story here. Okay, so yeah, a balanced equation basically. So I'll do a bit of research into that. All right. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So on that note, man, I think that's it for us.
Yeah,
I think
that's it for us,
really,
guys.
really interesting, though. Really interesting, and I thoroughly
Absolutely.
enjoyed that.
And this is a massive thanks to Sadie for this one. Thank you, Sadie. You put it on my channel for Alien Addicts, and I thought, do you know what? It needs a proper episode, and this is why we bring it to Hidden Underbelly, because we're both into both sides, you know, the ghosts and even Bigfoot as well. Yeah, for sure, and even UFOs as well. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was good.
Just wanted to say, somebody mentioned the movie Good Boy. Me and my daughter, we watched that a couple of months back and thoroughly loved it. It is not what you expect. It really is a good movie. It sounds stupid. The concept of this movie is it's a ghost story, but it's told from the dog's point of view. It sounds dumb. Yeah, it sounds dumb. And I thought, oh, what could be the harm? Because, you know, me and my daughter, we love watching horror movies together. So put it on for her. And God, there's a couple of bits in there where I jumped, man. It's called Good Boy.
Good Boy. Okay. I'll go check that out.
Really good movie. And another recommendation, if you guys ain't seen it yet, there's a really good film out called War Machine. That's banging. My daughter, she only likes horror movies. She really likes horror movies. And God bless her, she's 10 years old, but she loves them, man. And like I put War Machine on, started watching it. She come down, she sat down, and she was hooked. She watched it from start to finish.
Nice, mate. Has she watched The Exorcist yet?
No, we won't let her watch that. It's because of the crucifix scene.
Yeah, it's a bit dodgy, isn't it, mate? Yeah, give her another 8 years.
But
she'll be fine.
She's watched the new one.
Yeah, but it doesn't compare to the original.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why because she knows of the movie, and like I said to my missus that I won't play her that movie because of the cruise. She's seen all the others. She's seen The Omen. She's watched them.
Yeah. It's a very powerful film. Very well done film.
It's just that crucifixion scene. It's the crucifix scene. That's the only bit that I'll say nah. The rest of it, yeah, I mean, it holds up. It holds up to today, but it's still tame. I mean, some of the stuff she watches, she'd probably say, "You guys were scared of this." just like how I turned when I watched a horror movie. I like the old black and white ones, and I watched an old black and white one with my mom when she was alive. And she told me, she goes, I went to the cinema to see this. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah. And she said, I was so glad that I went with my friends because I was so scared. And it was an old black and white one. And I said, you were scared of this?
Yeah. It's like the first Night of the Living Dead. You know, you kind of watch it now. And it's like, really? You know, but for back then, it was mind-blowing.
It was, yeah. It still is. It still is. But I don't think it was scary. I think it was the psychological shit that was going on. That's what Romero caught. Romero caught that well. Then he went full blown with Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
But Night of the Dead still holds up. Anyways, I saw somebody say Good Boys, and I thought, what a recommendation.
Okay.
I'm still trying to get my missus to watch it, and I'm begging her because she knows it's a ghost story told from the dogs, and I'm telling her, look, take that off the table. Just forget about that because it is a brilliant movie.
Okay.
I mean,
the
dogs won awards. The dog's been picking up awards. He's so well acted. He's done such a great job. It's a really good film.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind, mate. I'll bear that in mind. Something to watch. But yeah, guys, we're going to end the show there. I appreciate everyone being in chat. It's much appreciated. And we'll be back next Wednesday for, I don't know, we'll get in contact with you, Hidden. We'll find out something to talk about. So yeah, obviously, guys, we're back every Wednesday now. So every Wednesday, we'll have a live stream. Just probably be like a couple of hours, you know, and not like a 3-hour stream. But we'll keep you thoroughly entertained and we get this discussion going. And yeah, much appreciated, guys. Thank you so much for being in chat. Much appreciated.
And before I go, I'd like to say thank you, Gobstopper, for your kind donation, man. Thank you. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Thank you much. Thank you.
So on that note, may God's bless you in these troubling times, because we got an orange man that's doing some weird ass shit, and I don't even think he knows what he's doing. So until next time, stay blessed, and most importantly, keep safe.
Good night, guys. All the best.
For there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed, and nothing concealed that will not be known and illuminated. Stay blessed and keep safe. This is the hidden underbelly. Stay blessed and keep safe.